3 stays, a convicted killer set to be executed today. Richard Glossip, I bet you've been following, is scheduled to die by lethal injection at 3 at the prison in McAllister. Glossip was convicted twice in the 1997 murder of motel manager Barry Van Treese. News Channel 4's Allie Meyer is live in McAllister. Allie, you've been the premier reporter on this. You had an interview with him, an exclusive interview with Glossip. We followed this last week when we were right up to the wire, or a couple of weeks ago, and he got that stay. Tell us where it stands today.
Well, Kent, certainly a very different scenario today than it was almost at this very moment exactly 2 weeks ago when Richard Glossip got yet another stay of execution, kind of a last-minute stay. If you'll remember from 2 weeks ago, it was just 3 hours ahead of his scheduled execution. The feel here at the Oklahoma State Penitentiary is a lot different today, certainly quite a bit calmer. Here we are still 3 hours ahead of the anticipated time of execution for inmate Richard Glossip. They closed the gate to the prison about 30 minutes ago. It was an hour and a half ago when media from around the world began arriving here on the grounds of the Oklahoma State Penitentiary. If you take a look behind me, you'll see a number of satellite trucks and microwave trucks set up. There are media representatives from around our state and really around the world here today. And then you'll see some prison officials meeting outside of this building. And then right here in this older facility, this is the media headquarters. And inside those windows, the journalists from around the state are set up. They are preparing their stories in anticipation of the Richard Glossip execution just 3 hours from now. Now, just because the mood here today is a bit different than it was 2 weeks ago, certainly the legal maneuvering has been going on behind the scenes every day since the stay was issued 2 weeks ago. In fact, we know this morning we heard from the governor's office that a representative from the Pope, Pope Francis, wrote a letter to Governor Mary Fallin on September 19th. Let's take a look at an excerpt from that letter. I'm going to read to you a portion of it now. The letter was sent from a representative of the Pope to Mary Fallin from Archbishop Carlo Maria Vigano, saying, quote, "I respectfully request on his behalf that you commute the death sentence of Mr. Richard Glossip. Together with Pope Francis, I believe that a commutation of Mr. Glossip's sentence would give clear witness to the value and dignity of every person's life." We have also received a statement from Governor Fallin in response to that statement coming from the representative of Pope Francis. Let's take a look at that now. Governor Fallin issued this statement reading in part, quote, "The state of Oklahoma has gone to extraordinary lengths to guarantee that Richard Glossip is treated fairly and that the claims made by him and his attorneys are taken seriously. As always," Governor Mary Fallin says, "my heart goes out to the family of Barry Van Treese, whose suffering has been made worse by uncertainty and by delay." Of course, Glossip was convicted of first-degree murder back in 1997 and the murder for hire plot. The victim, 57-year-old Barry Van Treese. Glossip, we can tell you, is 52 years old. He has been on death row here in McAllister for 17 years and has never wavered from his claims of innocence. He says he did not pay for the murder of Barry Van Treese. Yesterday, Glossip's attorneys filed a petition to the Oklahoma Court of Criminal Appeals asking them to reconsider their decision to deny a hearing for new evidence. We know on Monday the court said testimony from convicted criminals would not be considered substantial evidence for a new hearing. Glossip's attorneys are also appealing to the U.S. Supreme Court, and here's what I can tell you about that right now. Abby Broyles, a reporter here at News Channel 4, has a source at the OU School of Law who clerked for the U.S. Supreme Court. So we're learning a little bit more about what's going on at the U.S. Supreme Court right now. We know that there is a death clerk at the U.S. Supreme Court, and we assume right now in Richard Glossip's case, they are mulling over the details, so the U.S. Supreme Court will decide if they anticipate issuing a stay of execution in the next few hours. We also know historically that court has supported the death penalty. The expected decision today is expected to be 4-5 in favor of the death penalty today. We do not expect a stay of execution for inmate Richard Glossip. The last meal went as planned last night. Richard Glossip had Pizza Hut, Long John Silver's, and Wendy's. There was a $25 limit for the Department of Corrections on his last meal request. We know right now here on the prison grounds there are witnesses inside the execution facility, both on behalf of the offender and also on behalf of the victim's family, Barry Van Treese's family. We anticipate there will be some family members of Barry Van Treese here to witness the execution. And Ken, I understand you've got a little bit more from Barry Van Treese's family on their feelings about Richard Glossip's anticipated execution today, just 3 hours from now. So I'm going to send it back to you now, and we'll certainly check back if we hear any additional details here from the Oklahoma State Penitentiary in McAllister. Back to you.
Allie, thank you. Great work with all that new information right there from McAllister. And she was just speaking about the victim, Barry Van Treese. Well, just before noon here, his son Daniel reacted to that papal letter. He said, "I believe that if the death penalty was a more frequently used method, it would in turn lessen heinous crimes simply because no one wants to die before their time."